People are so interested because so many things have come out. I can't even believe this much stuff comes out on these politicians and they don't literally get put in jail. Like it's unbelievable to me that, the Biden family, the fake Biden family, but I mean that they don't publicly get thrown in jail. I mean, it makes no sense. So to me, that tells me, that is a clue that we are literally watching a movie. Because if this was real and reality and what things used to be like, I don't think these guys would still be, standing in office and or would have stood in office like what it appeared Biden did for the last 4 years. I just can't fathom that it can't be a movie. You know what I'm saying? It absolutely has to be. Okay, so let's have a look. So here's Mark Carney. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So everything you think you know about him and what you believe about him is probably the opposite, or what they say anyway. Not this community. We know the truth likely, but a lot of people out there are going to be really surprised at what really happens. It looks like, I feel like something's going to come and take this guy. He might even be the first arrest, or he could publicly get arrested. Okay, that I would be so happy to see that. So here's the 28th here, or soon after maybe. And it could have something to do with children. So that's interesting. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Wands and the Strength card. So the woo community has a big boost here around April 28th. They're around, in and around that time. It might not be right on the day. Cards aren't specific. Usually in timing, they're not as specific as we'd like them to be. So I'm not saying right on the day, but I feel like it's heading, let's just say it, Carney and the information around him, Mark Carney, is heading in the direction of him being outed publicly and maybe even arrested publicly, which would be brilliant because that's a justice card. Okay, and that's in the public eye and how they see it. And it might have something to do with children even, and really dysfunctional things around how he treats them, but also around money situations. Remember, I was saying that the Sun card could also talk about money systems. So maybe they'll get him on financial, the way he basically ruined the EU financially. That might be it. Okay, but I feel like it'll be both, or maybe slant more towards children. To me, the children thing would be a way bigger problem. All of these politicians steal money, and they've been getting away with doing that, for forever. Whoops. I'm noticing I'm about to lose my earring. I don't want you guys to stress about that. Watching me as it falls. Okay, so see the past here? We've got the 4. So whatever it is that does take this guy out, and I don't think he'll last. If he does go all the way to the election, he's not going too much past it, or he might not even make it right up to the election. So I'm thinking like we're in a time period when we could see this guy get taken out on the public stage. Okay, but it's all for crimes that have been hidden. And the money crimes aren't that hidden. So I'm leaning more towards the child crimes, Wow. Okay. So I don't think we're going to have to actually, if this guy even does get in a fake election, because it would all be fake, you guys, and it would all be rigged, but it would all be part of the show. I don't think he'll last long, whether he actually goes past the 28th. And according to those cards, right on the day or right around the day, somehow really close to those times, he's going to get publicly outed. Okay, well, he has been publicly outed, okay, but maybe not in mainstream media. It's more like what we're seeing in this community. Let's look at this Jeffrey Wands prediction. So this guy, he predicts, and a lot of people are talking about it and sending me his videos and stuff. Apparently, he's predicting that there's going to be a big earthquake in New York this summer. Okay, and we've heard this a lot. We've heard all kinds of predictions about this, but people really are getting worried, and I don't blame them. especially if they live in this area. So let's have a look at, is his prediction true? A big earthquake this summer in New York. And I think he means the city, but correct me if I'm wrong out there, guys. Does he mean New York State? Of course, wherever it is in New York, it's going to be a big problem for a lot of people. Let's have a look, because I know New York City, that would really, like if it was centered around that would cause huge damage. But anywhere it happened in New York would cause big damage. Oh boy, we got those two again. And we got the Queen of Wands, the 7, the Sun, Wheel of Fortune. Wow. Okay. Got a lot of the same cards here. But when you think about it, a lot of what's been going on all interconnects. Okay. So because we're watching theater and a movie, it all interconnects. And this is interesting because I don't really get it, Will. This is a fear porn card. And that's what this guy's part of the fear porn. I feel like he's he was told to put fear porn out there. Okay, so while maybe some big arrests are going on, they're going to put a lot of fear porn out around natural events like that in New York. Like it somehow coincides with a lot of things going on. Looks like arresting big names. Coincides with the timing that this guy says earthquakes or an earthquake. And I wonder if earthquake is code word for, in the theater of everything, code word for, wow, people will be shocked at what goes down. So I don't think it's literally an earthquake. I feel like it's more finally some things manifest. We've been waiting to manifest around arrests and some justice. Maybe not all of what we want to see there, but I think we might see the start of it anyway. And like a lot of things are going to be going on that'll feel like earth moving, but I don't think it'll technically be an earthquake. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think they're using code words sometimes here, hey? And so that person must be maybe some placed info, like yeah, I feel like these people get used a lot. There's a lot of those guys out there in publicly being used for disinformation, sent information. They circulate it because they got big viewing audiences, something like that. Yeah, maybe they're even like somewhat in on the plot of this movie we're watching. Okay, so microplastics in food, and it's apparently everywhere. So we've been hearing a lot about these microplastics, tiny, tiny, tiny beads of plastic getting in our food chain, in our waters. Wildlife is ingesting them. Like we're eating that wildlife. Fish is ingesting it. Like it's just gone off the charts, apparently. And we're ingesting it every which way, humans. So what we're asking is, first of all, is this something that's going to take down humanity? How bad of an issue is this? Okay, can our bodies not break this stuff down? Like, what does the universe want to tell us about this? Okay, because there's a whole lot of fear porn out there about it. And I'm not saying it isn't true. I'm just saying, what does the universe want to say about this? Because it feels like it's already like well on its way to taking down the human race if some other things don't before that. Like it's like, whoa, right? If we believed all of that's circulating, well, like we're going to be pretty depressed, right? Let's have a look. So we've got the world there. So this is interesting. I just want you to note, this is what publicly is thought and known about it. So there's a lot of very damaging looking info. So it looks really bad on paper and in writing, because swords are thoughts and words and what's being talked about. Now we've got the World and the Eight of Wands. So that's really interesting. That looks like we're safe somehow because of something that's coming. So something that's fast approaching will keep us safe from this as a devastating way that humanity might be taken down, okay, and wildlife and nature. I feel like whatever's going on, a change is coming. A change is fast coming that takes us out of this as a fear. So the fear porn going on, and I don't think it's porn even, I think it's real. I think really there is trouble with the microplastics. None of this looks like facades, like the card isn't the Seven of Swords, which would be they're telling us that, but it's not even true. Yeah, I think there really is that issue, but something is coming that keeps us safe or takes us off the takes this off as a big problem. Like it somehow takes away the problem. Something is coming. There's going to be a way, and it comes through information. So that's interesting because that's an information card. So maybe they have a way they can could even be, and I get frequency related, could be a frequency. They have a way to get these microplastics out of your system. There's a big get it out of your system kind of card here. Two of Wands. I feel like it'll be shared with people. Things are already known that could take you out of the situation that could be harmful. So I feel like it's saying we're going to have ways that this gets dissipated and taken off, I guess the list of things that could kill humanity. It's going to be taken off the list. And it comes through information sharing. And there might even be a regime we have to do, looking at those cards. We might have to do something. Okay, but the information on how to eliminate it from our systems is going to be shared with us. So, wow. And it's already known, it looks like, looking at these cards here. So, yeah, that's good to know. So when you do hear about that, and I feel like that's coming, could even be in the next year with an ace like that. It could even be in the next year that we know about, how to reverse it. I feel like do the thing. It'll be it might take some work on your part. Okay. We'll have to cooperate somehow, but do the thing because you could clear it out of your system. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I think there's so much out there that we're going to find out how we can reverse the effects of, or I have a feeling with the age of Aquarius, we're going to find out so many things we can dissipate the damage of. I really do. I got a good feeling about that. What we'll have to do, maybe it could even be spiritual, more just deciding, intending, and visualizing. I don't know, because that ace, right? The ace is using your mind, or at least it's something that comes through communication. It's communicated to us, and we'll have to put some, legwork to it, it looks like. Okay, let's look at the fourth question, which is Angela Merkel Adolf Hitler's daughter? Okay, I think I looked at this years ago when I just first got together with Jean-Claude. And if I remember correctly, it was a quick look. It wasn't that clear. It was a yes, but maybe not natural daughter. But with all the new, in other words, maybe they took his DNA. Let's see if the cards want to be any clearer about that, or what the cards want to say about Angela Merkel and Adolf Hitler, with all of the new info coming out, all of the files released, okay, the after World War II, what really happened to all those Nazis, etc., all of those scientists, and it turns out a whole lot of, people that we are now finding out are likely cabal related, okay, yeah. Maybe Nazi equals Khazarian mafia. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, but we're going to deep dive on that. Coco and I, we just decided we're going to deep dive on that. soon here. So, yep, just wait for that. But let's have a look. Angela Merkel and Adolf Hitler. So we're going to put her here, Adolf Hitler here. And how are they related if they are? Goes down the middle. That's her. And that's him. I feel like technology. So a soft yes in the middle. So it's similar to what I got there. Technology put these two together. So she was willed into, so that's a desire. So people created that to be the case. So I don't think it was he was with a woman and he created a child, not in the natural way, but I do think it was willed into, they were willed into being, or she was willed into being, and they used other world technology to do it. In other words, a technology possibly like isn't something that we have access to as humans. Okay, it could be off-world even, and don't forget there's all kinds of off-worlders. There's good ones and bad ones, other dimensionals and off-worlders. Okay, so two cards indicating technology that we don't have access to. Okay, so that's interesting. And we've got the devil here, so that shades this in a negative way. So there's future selves that are of the bad kind. But there's also the alliance. But this is badly aspected, otherworldly and or future selves who are working for the negative. So we've got bad ones and good ones. Aliens that are both, and or otherworldly or other dimensionals that are good and bad. Okay, these are of the bad variety. They created her. So I don't think she was created naturally or in a womb or anything. I think it was they created her because they desired to create her, but she didn't physically birth from a womb. So that's interesting. And I feel like it'll take some time. Eventually that'll be released information. This card says we won't know it for a while, but certainly at any moment that there's some kind of evidence about it. It's just not known to the general population, obviously. But at any moment, somebody could release that, looking at that card. So yeah, they created Angela Merkel. She was, I feel like, created. I don't even think, in a human, like maybe in a fake womb type, machine type, because it's other than what we're using. It's beyond our comprehension how they created. But yes, they used the DNA of, Adolf Hitler. So, wow. Okay. Bees. Okay, we're going to look at bees. Now, a lot of people are talking about, there's lots of information been circulating for years that bees are dying off. And of course, that's very scary, because that would mean, things don't get pollinated, and flowers die off, plants die off, trees. Like it's really, really scary. Like if bees die, okay, it is, well, first of all, I love honey. Now, I haven't seen a decrease in honey or a huge spike in honey prices, although they've been going up like everything has. But I haven't personally seen the evidence of huge bee die-offs, but if you're in an area and you personally see that, please let us know in the comments. Okay, I just don't personally see that, or I'm not personally affected, but that doesn't mean it's not true, of course, right? I just want you to tell us your experience around that. If you know something, if you happen to be a beekeeper and you did your whole bee population died off or something like that, tell us what you know about that if you're real firsthand information on it. Okay, so we're going to look at, first of all, what does the universe say about bees dying off? Like, is that going to continue? Is it even true? Like, what's going on with that? And then we're going to look at maybe secondary question of what might that mean in the future if that's the case. Let's have a look. Wow. Okay, this kind of answers everything all at once. Okay, so see that Hanged Man card? So putting something in a difficult position to understand. I feel like um, I'm feeling manipulation around the stories about the bee die off. I'm feeling like they might have stopped what was causing the bees to die off, or somebody stopped it already. Could even be alliance, otherworldly, and or technology, advanced technology has already or has the means to stop whatever it is that's causing these bees to die. Okay, and just a few ideas about what it could be. I mean, weather manipulation, frequencies that are put out there to change weather, like so many things. It could be so many things. Huge factories putting out different frequencies, like so many things that they're doing and have been doing. Fluoridation in water, like so many things could be causing it. We don't know exactly what it is. So many things, and I feel like they like allowed us, or they're really getting us to have a good look at that. They being maybe I think the powers of good here, because we needed to know, because this is where it's coming from, and this is not badly aspected here. So I feel like the powers that be needed us to know that's a possibility. And some of the things we were doing could kill off the bees, or even started to. Okay, but that looks like it's been stopped. But then it's kept secret that it was stopped. So they stopped the bee die off. That's what I'm just reading the cards. I'm going to say that. And people are just hearing about it like in the last 10 years. I don't know about you guys, but I've been hearing about it for about 10 years steady. If you heard about it 20 years ago, let me know in the comments. I only maybe started hearing about it 10 years ago. But certainly we've been hearing about it. Alarm bells have been ringing about it, but I feel like they actually got a grip on it. Okay. And you might see, and it'll depend on, there's certain areas that might still have a lot of bees and other areas that don't. So it's intermittent where they are, and certainly how it looks. Okay, so that's how it does look in the public eye. And people are just starting to, but they're kind of fickle. So they hear about it, they get sad about it, they get excited about it, mad about it, but then they forget all about it. So there's fickle energy around it. I feel like it's now being, so they haven't let us in on the fact that they've stopped the bee die off, but they're keeping it a secret because they need us, to realize certain things have to stop. Okay, so certain things have to stop. And while we learn who our enemy is and what they're doing to us, it's to the advantage, it looks like, of the alliance. Because that's the alliance card. It's to their advantage to have people worry about this, okay, because it helps them understand some things have been done to humanity. And eventually, when we know exactly who, of course, this community's, we've got a pretty good idea who's doing it, okay, but they need everybody to know who does stuff like that, who would have it in their to their advantage to kill off the bee population. Okay, it would be this group that wants 80% humans to die, of course. Okay, so they don't care about the earth or humans. They want to live underground in their underground cities. You know what I mean? Okay, so see this card here? I think we can regenerate. So I feel like some bees have died off, but it's actually getting better. They stopped the actual thing that was killing them off. So whatever that was, I think it was a frequency. I'm feeling it was a frequency. They stopped it, whatever it was. And I feel like it'll take years, maybe another 5 years, to bring up the population again to where it needs to be. But I feel like we're on our way to a more positive bee population. So I don't think we're going to die because of lack of bees, although that is a story that goes around and is scary for people. Okay, so that's, wow. It's all part of the education of humanity, I guess, right? Like we got to learn these things. Okay, deep state museums. So our last question is on deep state museums. Somebody was wanting to know, and it does make sense if all of history is a lie, which mostly I'd say it's 99% a lie. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Okay. History is like at least everything about it's misconstrued. And that's like we looked at dinosaurs. Turns out I don't think there was dinosaurs. These could be lizards, and then they added some, who knows, other kinds of bones, or they just made this stuff up. Like, I don't think dinosaurs are real in the way that they talk about them. But anyway, that's just my opinion, and it's the opinion of the cards. So all of these museums with dinosaur bones in them, and all of these museums with false histories about what happened, how we got to where we got to, and all the lies, how humans evolved from apes. Like, I always thought that sounded like a bunch of, what a crock. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Doesn't make any sense, because apes would still be evolving into humans. Like, come on. Anyway, let's have a look at who's running these museums now. So there's still museums all over the world. Who's running these places? Okay, is that white hat? Are they now taking over control of museums? Do the deep state still run the museums? What's going on there? Because there'd be a lot of good information in there, probably hidden in the archives, the real truth about things. So we've got the 6, so they're moving out of troubled water. I feel like museums could even get used. So I feel like they're going to use the building. So that right away, that tells me it's white hat. So white hat alliance controls museums, but this is a strategy card. The strategy is to use the museums to tell the truth about things. So they're going in the future, these buildings could be used to tell real history as we piece it together. Okay, and explain, they might even explain how things were hidden from us. And maybe they'll even have museums of deep state propaganda tools, the museum of psyops and how they do it. And then we'll go look at the museum and understand and watch some films, etc., and understand exactly how they do these large-scale world psyops that fooled everybody. I feel like they're going to use it as an education tool. So looks like it's white hat controlled at this point. So wow, fascinating. Can't wait for that. I'm going to be going. I'm going to be bringing the kids to any show that shows you how psyops are created worldwide to fool us. Yeah. Anyway, well, my kids are all grown up now, but I could probably still talk them into a museum trip with Mom. I love museums, by the way. I've always loved them, you know, even though sometimes when you're like, especially the stuff around apes, we came from ape stuff. I never did really buy that. Yeah, that was always tricky for me. But anyway, it didn't stop me from thoroughly enjoying museum trips with my dad. Some of my best memories are going to the museum with my dad.
Oh, and guys, somebody's asking, if you're looking for the online streaming pass, go to the Academy website. So beyondmystic.academy, you'll see that there at the top of the page. Again, for as long as it's available, this is what it's looking like right now on the conference page. So you'll see that everything else is sold out here. Actually, the general admission pass, also that sticker is sold out. It should be red, but there's a few more of these ones here if you're looking for it. So I recommend you check it out now while they're still available. Okay, Janine, let's go back to that 40,000 foot pool, Earth and orbit environment.
Wow. Queen of Wands here. First card down, Queen of Wands. So Earth is being described as the woo. Am I in a delay?
No, I hear you just fine.
Okay, good. So Earth is being described as the Queen of Wands, which is really interesting. It's like our woo community often gets described as that. This card often comes up for people that do work like what we do, truth seekers and people that listen to their intuition, people that do their spiritual work. So that's very interesting that the earth is being described as this Queen of Wands.
Mm-hmm.
She's magical thinking. She's a freedom lover. She's not afraid to be herself. Wow. So it's almost like the earth belongs to us.
Yeah.
Right. And like for a long time, I don't think it did really, or it was, they were trying to take it away from us maybe.
Right.
And then we've got the Four of Cups here. So things are happening. Like this card says, things are happening and they're different than what you're being presented. So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. We all know that. We're being asked to focus over here. I bet even the Epstein list is a distraction. Okay, because really, if you think about it, we know who's been to, like we know all this stuff. So does the deep state. Sorry, not the deep state. Well, they know, of course, because they were involved. But I mean, so does the good guys know in this war. Everybody knows in the background what's going on, and it's only literally a matter of rolling it out to the general population. I feel like that's even the Epstein list is a distraction. Everything we saw today felt like a big theater production.
Yeah.
It was absurd. It was like, oh, come on. Seriously? It's obviously spotlighting the bad guys again.
Yeah. Yeah, they're using this as an opportunity to perhaps finally rein in the Southern District of New York at the FBI office. And nobody cares that they're deleting stuff. Like, there's probably multiple copies about this. And as you say, it's been online forever. Like, Ask Any Truther, they have the list already. Yeah. So I think we can rebuild that data in terms of the videos and stuff like that, too. Like, if indeed this was used as a Mossad operation, many people have copies of those videos here, too. They were being used to manipulate, to control, and to blackmail politicians, actors, singers, movie stars. So it's all over the place. That's kind of like a non-starter for me, but clearly there's something else happening in the background. We'll get to that in just a moment, but keep going on that 40K view there.
There is something else happening in the background. We've got the Ace of Wands moving into this. Okay, so I feel like we've got a plateau and we're leveling up again in March. I got a feeling like if we thought it was crazy the last month and the amount of intel and information, we're leveling up. But first we've got to go through a little tiny dip, we've got to go through the new moon in Pisces, which is what this feels like. And I think that Schumann resonance could also be reflecting just how weird it is energetically when the moon's new in Pisces. It's like a double whammy of all your fears come up, all your dysfunctions. If you're inclined towards any kind of overuse of substances, you're going to be really tempted this weekend. It's like a bad moon rising.
Right.
And then it's new on top of it. So your energy drops out the bottom and the veils get really thin. If there's people in your life, kind of on the teetering edge of passing over, this would be the next couple of days could be when they leave, like things like that. So it's pretty interesting. But all of a sudden we shift so as soon as this moon's done, I think we're going to shift into the Empress energetically. So now it feels like we do get, so everything that feels like we were being withheld from, I feel like we'll get it. I don't think they're going to keep giving us big blank pages full of redacted information. I feel like we'll get an abundance, but I feel like first they got to really get everybody ready first they got to get everybody really wanting to see it. First they got to get, it's like a power play. It's like a part of the movie play.
Right.
It's very unique. What we're in is a very unique time in history. They would have everything already with the star there. They already got it all. They have a different way to collect evidence. They don't need the paperwork form of it.
Yeah.
They got all the stuff on these guys. right? Okay. I feel like they might even roll it out with a different kind of technology. Okay, we
Huh.
don't need those FBI guys. We don't need those guys. I feel like they were closed down a long time ago, years ago. All of this is so fake. I can't even get over it. I'm just sick of hearing, like it's BS that
Yeah.
they wouldn't have even looked at what they had on their desk. Come
Yeah.
on.
Come on. Yeah. Well, she was asked last week too, Pam Bondi. Oh, well, have you seen anything there that shocked you? Oh, not yet. Okay, so you have the Epstein files on your desk and you haven't seen anything that's shocking yet. That was a couple of days ago. So come on.
Mhm.
So the jig was up in terms of their ploy. They're trying to do something here. Of course, they want to put the focus on the bureaucracy that's running amok and not responding to orders from the legitimate presidency and his appointments. So that's part of it, but there could be still more going on in the background. Now, I need to ask you, I see the star card there. You said they're vulnerable, they have all the information. But in the poll today, when we were looking at the Schumann resonance, you were also talking about some bad ETs being in the mix here. Can you maybe do some clarifiers on what that contingency might be, what they're after, what's going on? Let's get more clarity on what ET involvement we have right now in our solar system.
Well, we've got the judgment card here. So that's a big wake up and shocking revelation kind of card. And we've got the Knight of Swords, which is like good military. And what we were getting when you asked about it on the afternoon show,
Yeah.
what we were actually getting, if I remember correctly, was that it was a signal and a message. And it was maybe even coming from the bad guys. Is that right? Is that correct? Because you got a better memory than I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we weren't sure who was sending. I mean, to send it through the Schumann resonance seems to me it would have some kind of an otherworldly or off-world other dimensional kind of quality to. And we know that we're not just fighting this earth plane, or if it is an earth plane, like with this earth, whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not just fighting, we're fighting off-world, other dimensional, or underwater, even underwater, inner earth beings. There's lots of things that are unknown, generally speaking, to us that we could be fighting. So that could be what we're talking about here. They could be using it as going back and forth in the war, and even like messing with our signals. Okay, so everybody's not sleeping. Everybody's like talking about they're feeling all messed up. Maybe they're messing with our signal that way.
And what would be the objective? Can you do clarifiers?
Well,
today we got a little bit that somehow maybe the baddies were looking for reinforcements somehow. It was a frantic call for reinforcements. You got that today too. I'm not sure how that ties in there.
Right. Okay. Right. And then we've got Justice here and the Magician, almost like there's a desperation feeling to these two together. And Magician, like they're just barely treading water. So that could be like they need reinforcements, or they're looking out there for who could come and help, who would have their backs.
Right. Okay. Maybe we need another poll, but I'm guided to go here. If they are calling out in desperation for help, those who would have normally received the call and maybe can't come to action, are they even still around? Or are they around and they're like, yeah, sorry, you guys are on your own. You guys are fucked. Like, this has gone too far and we're not helping. Like, has there been a shift or a material change in what the baddies here perceive to be their normal response routes when they put out these messages? I'm curious about that. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yep.
Okay. Needlex says, JC, you're gonna have a fun birthday. Yeah, it's gonna be one crazy month of March. Absolutely, it's gonna be a fun birthday. I'm excited. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like abandonment by some of the groups that otherwise would be helping.
Yeah. I wonder if Space Force has been very busy here in the last couple of months, maybe rounding up some people in not just the swamp here on Earth, but in orbit.
Also, there could be some closing down of ways to get here. So closing those gateways they talk about.
Right.
Closing vortexes, something like that, because the world is more protected and safe.
Uh-huh.
And so it's their ways of getting in look like they're hampered with that 5. And the 4 of Pentacles resisting even coming and not wanting to get involved. So maybe it's not their fight. They don't feel like it's their fight anymore. They don't feel like they can win it. Like there are other people that or entities and energies that otherwise would have come to the aid of these bad ETs kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. So there is a material change there as well. That's fascinating. Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll keep looking at the ET stuff because really it's kind of like late. We were supposed to get more ET stuff in January and February. As you remember, Dr. Stephen Greer was making the rounds in December, suggesting that it was imminent that these green berets or people in deep underground holes would be coming out with all this technology. We thought we were getting an inkling of that with the gentleman who exploded the Tesla car in front of the Trump building, suggesting that the New Jersey drone situation was hiding anti-gravitic technology. And after that event, of course, Greer was still out saying, oh, it's imminent now, imminent just before the inauguration. And here we are now, almost in the month of March, and that kind of has set to the wayside. Now, maybe we should do a poll on this here first before we go too far. Has there been a change in strategy, either from the White Hats or the deep state, as it pertains to this fake alien invasion stuff? Why is it suddenly completely off the radar? Is it just like a reprieve because they need timing for something else and it's coming up big way in March? Is it just off the table suddenly because there's a change of strategy altogether? An about face, so to speak, in strategy? What's going on?
So this is a political move card when you're asking a question like that. And we've got the world here and the Wheel of Fortunes. There's been a change. So there's a big change, and the change is coming from the way they're being perceived out in the world. So I get this feeling that we're being monitored really closely on how we're reacting to information coming out. And somehow, because this is the way people are perceiving things, that's where the change card is. So somehow their political strategy has changed in what information should come out, when it should come out. So they could be changing gears on when that's going to happen, how they're going to roll that out.
And would you say, looking at the cards, that that's because the Trump administration is more in control than they originally thought they would be, or less in control? Like, why is that change, or why is that Wheel of Fortune there?
I'd say more in control because of that world. So they've got something to a new plateau. And here we've got the Knight of Wands and the Six of Wands. So both of these cards indicate positive movement, even victorious movement, and fast getting to a plateau they didn't think they'd get to this fast. So again, they could be monitoring things that we're not privy to, right? Mm-hmm. They could know, like there's a lot of things circulating as if a lot of people are yelling about Trump, but I feel like then we see celebrations in other parts of the world honoring him. Like maybe there's more yay for what he's doing than they're letting on, or that the lamestream media, would let us in on, of course.
I have no doubt. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Heidi's in the chat. She says there are certainly a lot of military planes on the radar that look like drills or a mission. Now, regardless of the ET front from this poll, are we in a critical situation right now? We appear to be hours away, days away from a resolve in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government is being told to forget about NATO. We had the UK Prime Minister here today and Macron just the other day. So it seems that all of that is coming to conclusion, and that might be the reason why NATO and perhaps some of their allies might want to fight back at this point, create a false flag attack or something to change that, put people back into fear and justify their whole existence. Can you do two clarifiers on whether or not we are in some type of critical danger right now, some type of retaliation efforts?
Okay, I feel like we're completely safe from anything NATO involved.
Okay.
And it looks like a 10. They could have been taken down a long time ago, or at least at some point, because this is an end card.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got this safety card. We're sitting in a safe position. This guy looks out at the world from a safe position.
Okay. Well, that's good news. All right. They might just be putting up a show of force also to say, hey, fuck around and find out, but we're ready, so to speak. That could be what's going on as well. Okay. Let's go back to the Epstein segment just a little bit here. I was listening to a rant from my fellow Canadian here, Viva Fry, on his Twitter feed earlier. So I'll play not the whole clip here, but maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And then I'll come back with some specific questions for you. Here we go.
There is that old expression that a decision that upsets both parties equally is probably the right decision. Sometimes a decision that upsets both parties equally is just the wrong decision. In this particular case,
I think this was the wrong decision.
Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, back in my home office outdoors enjoying a beautiful Florida afternoon. And I have to tell you something, people. I've got the Epstein file right here.
I'm just kidding. I printed up the document that's widely available on the internet now.
So the big story of the day was the anticipated letdown of a wet blanket. As we say in French, un pétard mouillé, a wet firecracker of a release. The Epstein files and some people on the interwebs are freaking the heck out. I would say cool it, just take it down a little bit, but I do understand the frustration. If you don't live on the internet like I do, here's the lowdown. From 5 times August at 5 times August, he makes wonderfully beautiful music. If you don't follow him and listen to his music, do it right now. We're going to release the files, but you have to wait until Trump wins. We're going to release the files. Gonna have to wait until Bondi gets in too. We're gonna release the files. Okay, well, 24 hours after Cash gets confirmed, we're gonna release the files. You gotta give him more than 24 hours. Geez, we're gonna release the files. You just wait. The files are on Pam's desk right now. We're gonna release the files. Hopefully tomorrow we'll release some info. We're gonna release the files. Just a sec. Gotta hand out these little binders to a handful of social media influencers first. We're gonna release the files. Okay, we're going to do this in phases. More impressive than that tweet is that I actually read that in one breath, but that's a fair synopsis of what's been going on. People were freaking out that the Epstein files were not released on day one. I was saying, chill out. Day one doesn't always mean literally on.
Okay, we'll leave that there. I love his energy. I've invited him back on the show. He said, yes, we're just looking for a date and to make it work. We had a phenomenal first show with him a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was really cool to have us both on the screen. So in this particular clip, he's talking about he has no, like us, you and I, we read on this earlier today, he doesn't believe for a moment that the administration somehow is trying to remove Trump and his cronies from the list. This is not what it is about as far as Viva is concerned. He also thinks that the Attorney General is exposing some type of internal war at the FBI, and that there could be a bigger story there behind the scenes also. But what he was getting at, and I think it was very interesting for our poll here today, is that this is materially one of the biggest promise perhaps Trump has made here during the campaign that people are very excited about, and one that if he doesn't follow through could be absolutely devastating to the Trump team, to his brand, and to the trust that the people have placed in him, right? So in that essence, and he agrees that Trump probably knows this, their administration knows this as well, they know where they lie on this particular situation, that they cannot do anything other than to fulfill this promise. So Viva's cautiously optimistic here and saying it's going to happen. There's just a little bit of shit here in between. And of course, a lot of fluff for the entertainment of most people. But he says, yeah, if your blood is boiling, his blood is boiling too. But yeah, just take a breath. Like everything else here, there's always more than meets the eye. So in that vein, I'd like to ask you the question there. Was Trump aware of this boondoggle and this weird kind of rollout plan for today? Was there also a fuck up in that rollout plan that makes them look a little bit amateurish here today? Or is there just, again, there's a bunch of new cabinet ministers, there's people, and in any new government, sometimes there are blunders that happen. Was he aware of this, or is this exactly how it was supposed to play out to make them look a little bit stupid here today? What do you see?
Interesting. If this was in the middle, I'd say it was supposed to look like a fuck up, but there was a fuck up. Excuse the term.
Yeah,
that is absolutely yeah. And just probably late last night going in, they could see it potentially coming. And couldn't really do so. They kind of did damage control.
Yeah.
So they had to get creative with damage control. So I feel like they were running a little off script with the damage control, which is maybe why it looked really silly. Because it really did. It looked like a debacle.
Yeah.
When they were all smiling with the
binders too.
You know what I mean?
That pissed off a lot of serious researchers who
Yep.
said, what the fuck just happened there? Why did a few staffers in the press room decide to give this to a few influencers, not the big networks or anybody else? And granted, like Viva said, okay, it was under embargo, they're going under phases, blah, blah, blah. So he didn't take offense to it. But still, for a file of this magnitude, you would think they would have put out the whole court press, everybody in front of microphones and have more officialdom behind it. And so far, what we have is a big nothing burger today. Keep going.
Interesting. We've got the moon here. It might even be part of this driven by, deep state to lash out some kind of deep state, some hidden treacherous thing here that wreaked some havoc in the background.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to get it. Yeah, it will roll out. And I got that even like when I looked at this the first time, it definitely wouldn't roll out till Friday. Maybe I thought Thursday, but more like Friday. And then it would be probably not what we thought. I thought there's going to be more to it. They might break it up in parts. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. They kind of need to do now, but they're going to get it done. Like this is all hands on deck going forward. They're going to get it done. They know it has to get out there.
Okay. And like Viva, I think I agree. Like they cannot not get it done at this point. It would be the kiss of death, I think, for their whole brand if they didn't. And again, it would bring up more questions that so far have been put at rest on whether or not Trump and perhaps his friends or families were also involved. And this is why, again, the delay, right? So there's still some detractors out there pointing to old pictures and old acquaintances, photos and videos of Trump and Epstein put together. So that's interesting. Okay, so let me just add this for the record for this evening. We did read part of it on the 3:00 show, but let's just talk about this. Was the letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi here to Director of the FBI, Kash Patel. She says she's repeatedly asked for all of the documents. She was told by the FBI that they had sent everything. She learned that, in fact, thousands of pages had not been sent to her, and that on another post also that perhaps the FBI was involved in shredding or deleting some of that evidence. And so she's asked Kash Patel now to investigate why the Southern District of New York has not fulfilled their obligations here under the order, and she's asking for an investigation. And also she's giving him, Kash Patel, 14 days here to propose a personnel action plan, proposed personnel action. So basically, who's going to be responsible for this? Heads are going to roll here within the next 14 days, and she's looking for his collaboration in getting this sorted out. So I think they're trying to hit many birds with one stone. They're showing us that the deep state has still, or maybe had in the past, this type of power, and they want to expose that to public, just as they've done now with the USAID and many other agencies. I think this is just part of the cleanup, or perhaps in the beginning of the cleanup, and also teeing up the ball here, or a softball to Kash Patel, to really get into the cleaning up of the FBI, and then after that, the NSA, CIA, and all this stuff, which leads to what Cliff High was talking about years ago, the harvesting of the corn. He was talking about farm products, right? So we seem to be heading in that direction, and I think that's the setup for that. As frustrating as it may be, there might have been some other stuff happening today, but I think they're playing with fire if they were actually planning on delaying. So I don't think they were delaying. I think, as Janine just pulled in the card, something else here is happening in the background. I'm curious to what that is. And so there's two other things I want to bring to your attention here today. One, on this weirdest day, let me see if we can get to it, of this release, which has been anticipated by everyone, we have the announcement of the death of Gene Hackman. And it's kind of weird circumstances. The more the day unfold today, the more news we got about this weird story, to where he, his wife, and his dog have been found dead in their New Mexico home. And it appears that her body was also mummified. So, okay, that's a news twist that I didn't see earlier today. And so we looked at this earlier today, okay, and we looked at some of his background, and it appears that there's some nefarious stuff there. Janine had that. Did you say he died? You think he died 3 years ago?
3 years ago. Yeah.
3 years ago in your poll. So you looked at this also today on your Quick Draw Thursday.
Yeah.
And so there seems to be some type of connection to why this is coming out at the same time. It could have been just a story in the back pocket for when, oh shit, it hits the fan. As you said here, there was a fuck up today. And they're like, oh shit, there's a fuck up. Let's distract. Let's put this one out. Is that what we saw today with this particular story? Or is there a bigger connection between Gene Hackman, his death, and the files being released here today? Let's try to just do that first overview to see how this stuff connects. As crazy as that sounds to be talking about it, it's weird days for sure.
Okay, this actually looks like they rolled the Gene Hackman story, and it got weirder and weirder because they had some kind of a background glitch. So unexpected things happened. They roll out Gene Hackman's death. Yeah.
So it was pre-canned. They had it in their back pocket for such an event of something weird happening. Okay.
Because remember, in the cards, it looked like they already knew about it late or early this morning. They already knew this was. And then I should have said, but that last layout, we had the Empress. I forgot to talk about that. And the death card, a death threat against an important woman involved in this. Okay, maybe that Pat gal. And we saw that when we looked at it earlier. I think it was last night on Beyond the News, that she needs to watch her back and be protected.
Who's that girl you're talking about now?
The woman that's the blonde woman that's rolling it out there, Pat Bondi.
Oh, Pat Bondi. Yeah. Okay, the Attorney General. Wow.
Or maybe they threatened one of Trump's daughters or his wife, something. An important woman, the Empress, and the death card. So could have been a death threat. So it wasn't the death card itself, but it was the moon.
Okay.
So I feel like there could, like, something big happened that made them have to think twice about what they're doing and do it a different way.
So you're mentioning, because we had looked at the safety of Pam Bondi and also the safety of Kash Patel in the last couple of days, and they seem to be protected for the most part from what we got in the cards. So this other woman that could have been influencing the outlook today, or who might be in trouble, could be this one. Let me see if I can bring this back. We looked at her today, Claire Hazel. Could it have something to do with her instead, Janine, and some of the royalty attached to her? I'm talking about this lady on the left here. Do you want to do an extra clarifier?
No, so it was somebody on the good side.
Okay.
Maybe even a hybrid, so that now that moves it over to Trump's wife out of all of those people.
Right.
we did a deep dive on. We got that she was a hybrid, like he was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One last question. We have a guest coming up. I see them in the green screen there as well. So let's go to this also, which could be another one of those stories in their back pocket, ready to put out at the next convenient moment. Of course, it's the announcement of the passing of Pope Francis. Let's do another poll on this. Are we looking at the same type of situation? You and I've been reporting this on for the last number of weeks that this guy's already gone, and they're kind of hinting that, oh, he's sick. Oh, but he's doing better. Oh, no, he's really sick in critical condition today. They're kind of like leaving it on the radar just in case they need it to pop in here to feel the airwaves for some reason.
Remember, you did the skit there. I think it was Wednesday night where you were saying, oh, wait a minute, we have to stop the rollout of him dying. That might be maybe something they heard in the wind that was going to happen with this other rollout.
Could be.
So things have to follow a certain track, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was me being funny. I think that was on the Monday show. It's like, wait, he's not dead yet. Retract the articles. Because we did see some newsstream articles about him having passed.
Yeah.
And then they retracted those. So it was kind of weird to see. All right, let's take a pulse on this whole Pope story here. What do we need to know on February 27th at 8:40 p.m. Eastern?
Okay, Trump and the White Hats are in charge of when he gets announced to be dead. It's not real that he's dying. Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
And see that 8? Yeah, so they're absolutely he's part of, as things roll out, he dies. It's like a calm, for sure. It's signaling. That's a signaling card.
Yeah.
Okay, so they need the right things in place to let him go. Right? It's all political. See that card in the middle? It's political. Yeah. And it's being run by the good guys here. Okay, so now they're going to wait. So now you're going to see that, oh, he somewhat recovers this weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
Wait.
Just like you said. From the clutches of hell.
Just like you said. Yeah. They're going to wait on it. I have no idea why.
Okay.
Yeah, like it likely ties into everything that's happening with the Epstein files.
So they're going to keep circling him around the pot there for a little bit longer. All right. Around the pot. I was going to say around the toilet bowl.
Anyway, yeah.
Just gonna leave it at that. Okay. Am I good? Oh, yeah. Sarah says, hold on. Can you mention... Let me see if I can read this. She said, JC, can you mention that everyone who is attending the conference in person needs to have a ticket with their name that matches their ID? Yeah. So if you guys bought physical tickets and you're coming and you're joining us in Ottawa for the conference, what she's saying is you need to bring that receipt from your purchase. And on that receipt, the name on that receipt has to match your ID. So make sure you have all of that when you join. And if for some reason you didn't get that receipt and you've lost it, just email Sarah at Beyond Mystic, and she'll find you in the system and reissue that receipt. But if all of you already have this in person with your ID, it's going to go a lot smoother to do registrations than if all of you have to verify that through the computer with the rest of the staff and making everybody wait in line. So we're trying to streamline the registration process for you guys. So thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Okay, my next guest, of course, you can find on the consultation page here at Beyond Mystic, and you can find her now also on the Academy page with the new shamanic breathwork workshop. It is the one and only Sylvia. Sylvia, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Excited to have you on. Thank you so much for being here. Man, you and I have known each other for quite some time. We've been working at getting something with you here done on the Academy. Excited to have this first workshop with you, of course. You've been doing wonderful shows with the Sacred Mysteries on Rumble here for quite some time, and also beautiful consultations with our clients. But it was time to get something done here on the Academy, and we were looking at, you have so many skill sets, Sylvia, and we're trying to put that into a package here to get you started. And so this breath work to me is very important. We use that in many different aspects of our lives here, whether that's in meditation, moving chi around, healing, and many other aspects of our lives. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, why you think this breathwork shamanic workshop is so important here at this time. Why were you guided to maybe put this one out as your first offering, Sylvia?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. First and foremost, I feel breathwork is practical. You know, so especially for those who are really just stepping on to their healing journey. And I get so many questions all the time, like, where do I start? Where do I begin? Right here with the breath. It's free. It's within you, and it's practical, and it works, right? So for me, it's a foundational practice, whether you're, you know, in spiritual practice or whether you're like nervous system healing or like, I mean, there's just a spectrum of benefit to breath work that I believe, you know, is really, again, also important specifically for the time we're at here in the collective, as we are all trying to evolve. It is vital for evolution and for our DNA, like truly in so many ways. So yeah, it's a beautiful foundational piece that I really feel like everybody should really get their hands on and implement in any way that they can. And I'm gonna teach the different ways that we can do that.
Okay. So like Viva Frey said in his video earlier tonight, he says, okay, hey, everybody take a breath. So there's that. Yes, we need to calm down, but there's way more to it than that. Speak about your shamanic journey yourself and how you were brought into some of these techniques and what perhaps some of the best benefits have been for you in your transformation in the last number of years to where you're on this path of self-mastery. Sylvia.
Yes, thank you. So I have a couple of different lanes or different paths that fed into like the whole, right? And each path really held a different framework around breathing. And I'll take it back even to when I was still policing. And you know, those of us that are in the forces and like police force, military forces, like especially in a lot of our tactical training, we have something that's called tactical breathing, right? We're taught how to breathe, especially when we are in, you know, just like, yeah, 100%. You can even look at like snipers and the way snipers are taught to really control the breath and breathe, and it regulates the heart, right? And it actually helps them really focus in on the shot. So I'm just gonna, you know, like this is where I really started understanding how powerful and potent breath work can really be, having actually experienced some, you know, crisis situations and then coming back to that tactical breathing and that tactical training, the breath does wonders. So taking that, moving forward into when I began specifically walking the priestess path, because I began walking the priestess path a little bit, almost at the same time around the shamanic path, but everything kind of just jumbled in. But essentially on the priestess path, breath work was really taught in terms of like circulating life force and like, you know, as a temple art, and how do we do that through like our creational life force. And so I began really understanding the embodiment of that and the benefits of that as I practiced that. And then as I was on the shamanic path, so, you know, because it weaves in different ways. But then when I was on the shamanic path and then I heard about shamanic breath work, I then began, like I dove into that, right? And I actually became certified, like through the ministry, like through Venus Rising. And it's just this amazing organization. They're probably one of the only like breath work organizations that have been around for like 30, 40 plus years. The lineage is really, really authentic. And it actually it stems from holotropic breath work as well. So those were the different paths that I took into the different ways of the breath. You know, also when I was getting certified as a spiritual counselor and really understanding like somatics, and doing deeper nervous system work. And, there were specific ways to utilize our breath in conjunction with, just nervous system healing. So, I mean, it was just like I said, a spectrum of different ways to breathe that I've brought into my service. And, depending on what presents and, what is being called upon, then I will offer, whichever modality fits that particular situation. So yeah, like shamanic breath work is more ceremonial. Like we actually go into like ceremony, and it's a whole other piece. And then, there's other like practices like through the priestess path, and like depending on, how you want to utilize your breath and what your intention is. So
really cool. I'm excited also because for the people who are joining us at the conference in Ottawa, you will be doing one of those breathwork workshops live with our audience members there on the Sunday afternoon. So stay tuned for that, all of you who are joining us here in Ottawa. But you can have a taste of it, of course, on the Academy here right now. So, Janine, let me ask you also, in your travels, in terms of the solo route to the root of self-mastery, how were you introduced to breath work? Somebody said it sounded like I said breastwork in the live chat. No, that's a different workshop. We'll do that some other time.
That's a different workshop.
Different workshop. How were you introduced to all of this, and how have you been using this throughout your life to not just regulate your emotions, regulate your energy, bring more chi into your space, but also to focus your abilities into how you gather non-local information and bring them here into the 3D to better navigate your course? How is breath important to you, Janine? Oh, you're muted on your side, Janine.
Yeah, it is absolutely important. And I believe in these times, like Sylvia said, this is the time we absolutely need to be tuning that up. Okay, like I used to teach my clientele when they'd so clientele coming in for readings, so card readings, and they could be in, and we could have triggered through what we were talking about, a really intense memory or some situation, past life or even past in their life trauma. And I would we would do the just visualize breath coming in, through your crown chakra down into your heart, open up your heart chakra, move the breath around, and then release. Like I was just making it up, like honestly, but it came really naturally. And if you did really slowly, even 3 of those, you could get the person to calm down and really go into the experience. So the cards could really help them release something they were holding, maybe for lifetimes. So I see that I was never trained in the way Sylvia was trained. So I can't speak to that kind of training, but it's really exciting to hear about, because even just naturally coming to it shows that it's something we need to tune into. So if we've got some real training with it, I feel like it's something that's a tool and can bring you really out of that trauma that you're like, we revisit traumas and then we recreate the situation. It could bring you outside of that so you can actually heal the thing and let it go, ground, and deal with your situation. Yeah, I think it's really important.
Right. June says, yes, so important. Most of us don't breathe right. And it's funny because, at first glance, you're like, oh, GC, what do we need a breath work workshop? I've been breathing all my life. Otherwise, I'd be dead, right? Like, yeah, but hold on. There's more to it than just that. So let's speak about that a little bit here, Sylvia. Like in layman's terms, like in Kung Fu, you also train at the same dojo as I do. We teach a lot about breath work to get into the focus aspect of your ki and how you see basically the threats around you before they arise. So you expand your ki and your awareness of the fight in front of you with that breath work. And in the days and hours and months that we are living now with all of these crazy changes, there's a huge advantage to be able to extend that ki out to kind of see those curveballs coming before they hit us, right? Whether you're alone and trying to navigate your own path, or whether you're a father or a mother trying to navigate the past for your family, the more you have that extension out there, the more you can make the appropriate moves for your family. And we all know we're in this crazy time of change. As Jay Widener said in my last show, we're in that fourth turning. So can you give maybe some examples of some of the work that you've done with some of your clients, or maybe how it affected you in that particular way, and talk about some of those key benefits here for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I love doing breath work with my clients. So as many know, like, I mean, I do facilitate like plant medicine journeys as well. Like that's one little part of the services that I offer. But even before I go there, I find it is so important to teach people how to breathe so that we can establish a foundation in the nervous system, because what's happening with a lot of the plant medicine journeys, and you'll see where I'm going with this, what's happening with a lot of the plant medicine journeys that are not necessarily being guided in a safe container is that they're getting these really big peak experiences and they're blowing out their nervous system, right? Mm-hmm. So it's actually not the best way to heal, truly, because, right, we want to heal the nervous system. So oftentimes, actually all times, the process that I provide is always, we begin with the breath. We begin with understanding like the somatics, right? I've done breathwork ceremony in, one-to-ones. I've done breathwork ceremony in small groups. And, it's always different. It's potent in different ways. As a group, there's a group field, there's a group energy, right? There's like a really beautiful, like reciprocity that happens in the space. What a lot of times that happens is like when we're going through a shamanic breathwork journey, and let me explain that actually, so that people understand, like, what does she mean by a shamanic breathwork journey? So this particular kind of breath work, what we do is we lay down, okay? Set and setting, we set the space. I create a chakra attuned playlist with no words. It's music that is literally tuned to the chakra. We begin at the root and we move our way over the course of 45 minutes, all the way from the root up to the crown. Okay.
Are those based on solfeggio tones? Do you know?
It's all, everything is calculated. It's just like really like intentional.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And so we'll go, like, I'll give you a quick example, but if something, like if we're beginning at the root, we know that like we're dealing with something that's primal. We're dealing with like root chakra, sacral chakra, nervous system right then and there. So we're going to find some music that is like potentially very primal and very rooty and very earthy, right? We're going to like get you engaged. And then as we move up, we're going to like, maybe if it's the heart chakra, then it's going to be something that's going to really pull on the heartstrings. It's going to really like try to open the heart a little bit more, like, the sound of maybe some piano or like, versus maybe some drums when it's like root chakra or like, so I'm just giving you examples. Mm-hmm. But essentially this chakra attuned piece is really made to activate, the energy centers. And what happens is at the beginning, I drum you in. So I'm talking, I drum you in before the music goes, and I guide you in, right? You've got some blindfolds on, you're cozy under a blanket, you're laying down, it's set and setting, and we drum you in and you begin, the music begins, and then you start to cycle the breath. And I teach you how to cycle the breath. Okay. There's a very specific way that we cycle the breath in order to, like, I say, really kind of like, it's like you're pedaling up the hill, right? You're just like, you're pedaling. And then you get to a place where you can just let go of the pedal. And then what ends up happening is as you're pumping the breath, what's actually happening is you're creating your own DMT. You're activating your own pineal gland with your own, literally your own creational DMT. So
endogenous DMT production. For people who are not aware that you often hear people say, "Oh, getting high on your own supply." This is really what you're getting at there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like a lot of the ancients, because we see breath work in different ways throughout like time and history with a lot of like, the ancients, the masters, like we know like Yeshua and Magdalene practiced very particular types of breath work. You know, this is what a lot of the like holy scriptures or like scrolls would refer to as even receiving the Holy Spirit is the breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we open the vessel, and what we mean by open the vessel, as we open the body, as we relax the nervous system and allow the body to open to receive, right? The Spirit, Holy Spirit, our breath, right? We actually get ourselves into a transcendental altered state of consciousness. And when we're in that altered state of consciousness, we like our amygdala. So the amygdala is the part of the brain that's responsible for fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, right? So people with severe trauma, a lot of times what happens is like the amygdala gets in the way, we get triggered, and it's like you're automatically in a trigger, and like, you know, you're in a fight.
You get stuck in those cycles. Yeah.
Right. So when we're cycling the breath in this way, and we're like nurturing the nervous system, the amygdala gets a chance to relax, which means that you can actually process memory from like frontal lobe, that everything feels so imminent, like a threat, right? And that can get processed right into the back, and you can actually put it into long term so that it doesn't feel like it's so imminent. I mean, there's so many.
That has huge positive
Yeah.
ramifications for people who are dealing with old PTSD, for example. I know
Yeah.
you're doing a lot of work, of course, with our military and first responders, helping them through some of those. Somebody was asking in the chat earlier, wait, was she a hit woman? No, Sophia wasn't a hit woman. She was in the RCMP, of course, but not a hit woman, no. And she's helping people now through this shamanic work that she does recover from some of those very difficult jobs and stressful situations that they're put under. Janine, let me ask you to pull cards on this too. We're looking at a time in our life now. We just had this first segment on the show on the Schumann resonance. We know we're getting more energies from Galactic Center. If you guys watched the Alchemy show I did with Jay Widener, we were talking about these yugas of time. So we are having to recalibrate essentially to much, much, much higher frequencies, and the rate of change that comes with that as well. So it is very much overwhelming for even the adepts and the people who are watching this show. But could you imagine for people who are not yet tuned to this, who are just somehow waking up from the Kali Yuga? We need all the help we can get. So let's get some advice from Universe as to why the shamanic breath work here is not just for everyone. Like, there's no prerequisite, anybody can do it, and it's good to have a person guiding you through the meditation here, but why this should be on everybody's radar right now as an added tool in their toolkit to basically do that, to acclimatize to all of these crazy energies and change that are coming around us, not just acclimatize, but also maybe hit the ground running on the other side as we start creating the new world. Why is that so important? Now let's get some advice from Universe.
Interesting. Two of Cups, like it feels like it maybe brings, so this is like your higher self and your ego self loving each other. So you learning to love yourself. So you chose a certain way to present this lifetime. You came here, you got a personality that comes along with the body self you chose to present in, and your higher self. A big part of really moving forward and evolving spiritually is to learn to love all of the parts of you, like not to judge, to love, to accept, and work and get them working with you and not be against yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it feels like the breath work might have something to do with unifying the parts that would otherwise be at each other. Right? Because this can be an internal struggle card. We're asking about a personal experience. So this card becomes internal struggle as opposed to external, right? So there, like a lot of us have internal parts of ourselves that don't love the other parts, that there's old voices in our heads from lifetimes ago, or even this lifetime, parental voices, that sort of thing, that put us down or criticize how we're, what we're functioning with this lifetime. So the breath seems to take that out of the equation, or blend those two, bring those two, get them looking at each other, loving. And I don't know how that is. I don't know, like it's, that's news to me. And I find that very interesting here in the back. And there's a lot of, so far, 2 cards with cups. So that's interesting. So it also gets focused on emotions. Okay. The breath work might actually get us to focus in a different way emotionally, because now we have 3 emotional cards. So maybe Sylvia can tell us, how is that breath work, somehow it's triggering emotional, because all the cards look really either mental thought or emotional here in the bottom row. Okay. And moving us out of, so that using our breath properly feels like it shifts and moves us out of. So this is the element of air. So I guess that would make sense to the breath, air and thought. So it helps us move with the air. So moving the air in a certain way through our body, through the mucky parts, the fear. It especially seems to release fear. And a whole bunch of old responses. So it feels like, so you're doing this with the old responses. You're moving them out of the way so you can do your work, or heal what you were focused on.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's right on, Janine. I love that. Thank you so much. Guys, I was just refreshing the...
Cuối cùng đã pha lẫn chút nghẹn ngào. Sở Dương bước chân khựng lại một chút, cũng không quay đầu mà chỉ phất phất tay, thân ảnh rẽ qua một chỗ ngoặt rồi biến mất tại trong tầm mắt Đàm Đàm. Sở Dương thả chùng bước chân nhưng vẫn không quay đầu lại, chẳng qua chỉ là phất phất tay, thân hình khẽ chuyển hướng nơi chỗ ngoặt liền biến mất trong tầm mắt Đàm Đàm. Đừng ngàn vạn lần không nên chết đi, Đàm Đàm mạnh mẽ hét lên đến khàn giọng. Xen lẫn trong tiếng kêu đó là dòng nước mắt giàn giụa chảy xuống. Hắn đột nhiên ngồi thụp xuống đất, khóc nức nở như một đứa trẻ bị cướp mất tình thân. Đàm Đàm rất lo lắng, cũng rất đau lòng. Sở Dương trong lòng cũng có chút đau đớn, nhưng hắn cố nhịn không quay đầu lại. Cứ như vậy từng bước một rời xa. Phương xa, nơi đỉnh núi, Mạnh Siêu Nhiên thân hình tắm trong ánh nắng buổi bình minh, đôi mắt chăm chú đọng lại trên từng bước ly khai của đệ tử mình. Đôi bàn tay không biết từ lúc nào đã một mực siết cứng lại. Bên trong tay phải của hắn cô một trang giấy, bề mặt là mấy chữ Sở Dương viết ra: Kinh Hồng Vân Tuyết Bộ cần trúc ngược người xuống, nghịch vận nội tức, từ một bước cuối cùng mà bắt đầu luyện, nghịch luyện bộ pháp mới có thể thành. Tha anh hình Sở Dương nhấp nhô đi trên đường núi, trên lưng chỉ đeo một bọc hành lý nho nhỏ. Một mình rời khỏi Thiên Ngoại Lâu, cô độc bước lên hành trình đi đối mặt với vận mệnh mờ mịt. Trong lòng Sở Dương đột nhiên bay lên một tia thẫn thờ nhàn nhạt. Trong lòng của hắn đột nhiên nhớ tới mấy câu: con đường này, coi thường núi đao biển lửa, con đường này, trốn giang hồ cửu tử nhất sinh, con đường này, mình ta cười nhạo cả thiên hạ, con đường này, nhắm trời cao chẳng một lần quay đầu lại. Mấy câu nói này là lời một ca khúc ở kiếp trước rất được lưu hành, một khúc đường giang hồ. Mạc Khinh Vũ đã từng đàn hát qua bài hát này cho nên lưu lại cho Sở Dương ấn tượng rất sâu. Nghĩ đi nghĩ lại, Sở Dương không nhịn được cười rộ lên, lẩm bẩm: ngân nga, con đường này, xá chi trời xanh mà đối nghịch, con đường này, định lại vận mệnh thoát luân hồi, con đường này, cầm tay Khinh Vũ cười trần thế, con đường này, chắc chắn lật tung cửu trọng thiên. Hắn cứ như vậy nhẹ giọng ngâm nga vài câu ca từ chính mình chế thêm, một đường đi bộ ra khỏi phạm vi Thiên Ngoại Lâu, rời khỏi Cửu Phong Nhất Viên, thậm chí không quay đầu lại. Thiếu niên mái tóc tùy ý lòa xòa rũ xuống che khuất một nửa khuôn mặt, ẩn dưới những lọn tóc lõa xõa là một đôi mắt tỉnh táo nhìn chăm chú khắp nhân gian, ánh mắt sắc như đao tựa hồ tùy thời đều có thể bổ đôi cả trần thế. Những tia nắng ban mai chiếu ở trên người của hắn, đem bóng ảnh của hắn kéo ra thật dài. Giữa rừng núi sương sớm mờ mịt, ở phía trên không sau bóng lưng của hắn tựa hồ có thêm một tầng huyết sắc rực rỡ đang lan tỏa, tựa hồ đang muốn nói lên điều gì. Cảm ơn bạn đã nghe truyện tại zingaudio.net. trên đường lớn có một chiếc xe ngựa đang chậm rãi lăn bánh. Hai phía trước sau xe là 8 gã kỵ sĩ mặt mũi lạnh tanh cưỡi ngựa hộ giá. Điều khiển xe là một sa phu già nua tóc muối tiêu híp mắt cầm roi ngựa trong tay, vẻ mặt hờ hững nhìn về phía trước. Theo từng tiếng roi ngựa thanh thúy vang lên, cỗ xe cứ từ từ lăn bánh, để lại sau lưng từng lớp bụi mù tung bay. Bên trong thùng xe là một lão già mặt mũi võ vàng đang cau mày như suy nghĩ cái gì đó. Lão già này được xưng tụng là đệ nhất thần y đương thời Đỗ Thế Tình. Lần này lão chính là từ Đại Triệu Đế quốc đi vào Thiết Vân quốc. Đỗ tiên sinh, lần này đi Thiết Vân quốc, ngài chỉ có một sứ mạng duy nhất, đó chính là làm hết sức dùng hồi thiên thánh thủ của mình giúp Thiết Vân quốc vương có thể chống đỡ thêm một thời gian ngắn. Ngàn vạn lần không để cho hắn được chết quá sớm. Đó là những lời mà đích thân đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu tể tướng của đế quốc đã tự mình trịnh trọng nói ra khi tiếp kiến lão. Vì sao phải để Thiết Vân quốc vương sống lâu thêm một thời gian ngắn thì Đỗ Thế Tình cũng đã hiểu rõ. Hiện tại Thiết Vân mặc dù là do thái tử chấp chính nhưng dù sao thái tử cũng không phải là hoàng đế. Có một số việc dù hắn có muốn làm thì cũng là danh bất chính, ngôn bất thuận. Chỉ cần vị Thiết Vân quốc vương này có thể kéo dài hơi tàn, như vậy Thiết Vân quốc liền vĩnh viễn không phải là tường đồng vách sắt. Thiết Bổ Thiên cho dù có là kỳ tài ngút trời đi nữa nhưng chỉ cần hắn không dám giết cha đoạt vị thì hắn cũng không thể thay đổi được tình thế hiện tại của Thiết Vân. Thiết Thế Thành sống thêm được 1 tháng là Đại Triệu Đế quốc có thêm 1 tháng để tranh thủ chuẩn bị. Tốt nhất lão vua kia kéo dài hơi tàn đến lúc mọi sự đã chuẩn bị sẵn sàng. Đến lúc đó chiến tranh bộc phát, thái tử Thiết Vân quốc dù sao cũng không phải là quân chủ nắm mọi quyền lực, nên tất cả những mâu thuẫn sẽ bộc lộ ra hoàn toàn. Nhưng nhiệm vụ này lại quá mức khó khăn, cũng chỉ có Đỗ Thế Tình mới biết được điều này khó khăn tới mức nào. Đỗ Thế Tình cười khổ một tiếng rồi thở dài. Năm đó Thiết Thế Thành khi còn là thanh niên trai tráng, gia nhập chiến trường vì sự hưng vong của Đại Triệu Đế quốc. Lúc ấy đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu chỉ mới là một nội các đại học sĩ giữ chức vụ giám quân trong quân đội. Vậy mà hắn dám lập mưu dùng vàng bạc thuê tiễn thủ đệ nhất thiên hạ ám sát Thiết Thế Thành. Trong lúc loạn chiến đã bắn trúng Thiết Thế Thành một mũi tên, hơn nữa mũi tên ấy lại được tẩm kịch độc. Thiết Thế Thành lúc ấy được thị vệ dùng thân mình cứu giá. Mũi tên xuyên qua bộ ngực tên thị vệ rồi mới cắm vào trên người Thiết Thế Thành nên lực sát thương đã yếu bớt. Dù vậy thì chất kịch độc trên mũi tên vẫn suýt chút nữa lấy mạng Thiết Thế Thành. Cũng chính đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu sau đó dùng vạn lượng hoàng kim làm lễ vật để Đỗ Thế Tình xuất lực cho đế quốc, cũng chính là đi trị thương cho Thiết Thế Thành. Cả đời Đỗ Thế Tình rốt cuộc cũng đã làm một chuyện hổ thẹn với y đức, chữa lành độc thương cho Thiết Thế Thành nhưng lại ngầm hạ vào người hắn một loại kịch độc mãn tính khác. Kịch độc từ từ ăn mòn thân thể Thiết Thế Thành, từ đó giúp Đại Triệu dần dần ăn mòn Thiết Vân quốc trong những năm vừa qua. Đả thương hắn nhưng không để hắn chết. Tuy rằng có thể thôn tính Thiết Vân nhưng lại không làm. Những năm vừa qua, đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu dựa vào việc tranh đấu với Thiết Vân mà không ngừng lập công, không ngừng mà gia tăng danh tiếng, không ngừng gia tăng tư cách. Cho dù là trong quân đội, chiến công của đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu cũng là sáng chói nhất. Cho đến tận hôm nay, hắn đã trở thành kẻ chỉ đứng dưới một người mà thao khống thiên hạ. Hắn vẫn lập công, vẫn chinh chiến nhưng thủy chung vẫn giữ cho Thiết Vân quốc có thể bảo lưu lấy một chút lực lượng phản kháng chứ không hề diệt sạch. Đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu đã biến Thiết Vân quốc thành một mỏ vàng giúp hắn tạo ra những chiến công. Mãi đến tận lúc này, hắn mới bắt đầu chân chính thu thập Thiết Vân quốc bởi hắn đã ở trên đỉnh cao quyền lực. Với quyền lực hiện tại của đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu thì cho dù là hoàng đế Đại Triệu cũng không thể làm gì được hắn nữa rồi. Đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu chính là hạng người vận dụng thủ đoạn và âm mưu đến mức thăng hoa, xuất thần nhập hóa. Cho tới bây giờ, thân thể Thiết Thế Thành đã không còn phương pháp cứu vãn, chỉ có thể kéo dài hơi tàn của hắn mà thôi. Nếu không phải quốc gia xuất hiện một vị thái tử kinh tài tuyệt diễm thì sợ rằng lúc này Thiết Vân đã sớm trở thành lãnh thổ của Đại Triệu Đế quốc, mình vốn là một trong những mắt xích khởi đầu thì hôm nay lại là người kết thúc chuỗi mắt xích ấy. Đỗ Thế Tình thở dài ảo não thật sâu, đường dài diệu vợi, Sở Dương đứng ở trên núi, mượn rừng rậm che giấu thân hình, lẳng lặng nhìn toán nhân mã từ xa xa. Hắn nhẹ xoa xoa lòng bàn tay, trong đó có một mảnh giấy viết: Thiết Vân dùng hoàng kim lễ vật mời thiên hạ đệ nhất thần y Đỗ Thế Tình tới Thiết Vân thành. 9 ngày sau đi ngang qua Ác Hổ Lĩnh, tờ giấy nát vụn, phiêu tán trong không trung. Sau đó hắn không hề dừng lại, thân hình giống như sao băng xuyên qua rừng cây, bổ nhào xuống dưới chân núi. Đây là kế hoạch mà hắn đã vạch sẵn. Đỗ Thế Tình chính là mắt xích mấu chốt nhất, muốn tiến vào Thiết Vân nghịch chuyển vận mệnh, không thể chỉ là đơn thuần xông vào là xong. Sau khi đi vào còn phải làm sao khiến người coi trọng, ngoài coi trọng còn phải nhận được sự tín nhiệm, sau tín nhiệm mới có khả năng nắm giữ quyền lợi trong tay. Làm sao phải hoàn thành những chuyện này trong thời gian thật ngắn, chậm nhất là 2 năm thời gian phải hoàn thành được cả chặng đường mà một sĩ tử bình thường bước đi. Nhiệm vụ của Sở Dương không thể bảo là không khó khăn, nhưng hắn không được phép chùn bước. Đỗ Thế Tình này chính là bước cờ đầu tiên của Sở Dương. Hí, luật, thớt ngựa hí dài một tiếng rồi dừng bước. Trước xe ngựa đột ngột xuất hiện một gã thiếu niên toàn thân hắc y, mặt mũi anh tuấn, trong vẻ mặt bình tĩnh lại xen lẫn một tia kích động, ánh mắt rực cháy nhìn về phía cỗ xe. Người nào? 8 tên kỵ sĩ đồng thời thắng ngựa đứng lại, 3 thanh kiếm và 5 thanh đao đồng thời tuốt ra khỏi vỏ. Ngồi bên trong xe có phải là thiên hạ đệ nhất thần y, được xưng là từ tâm thánh thủ Đỗ Thế Tình, Đỗ lão? Thiếu niên áo đen dùng ánh mắt kích động và tràn đầy sự sùng kính nhìn vào bên trong xe, dường như không thèm chú ý đến ánh đao kiếm đang lập lòe xung quanh. Ngươi là ai? Kỵ sĩ cầm đầu dùng ánh mắt sắc bén như chim ưng lạnh lùng nhìn thiếu niên kia, không hề dám buông lỏng chút nào. Những kỵ sĩ còn lại vừa đồng thời chĩa thẳng vũ khí về thiếu niên này, vừa lẳng lặng tản ra bốn phía vây quanh cỗ xe ngựa. Xin thứ lỗi, xin hỏi có đúng vậy không? Thiếu niên tiến lên một bước, biểu hiện cực kỳ vội vàng. Đúng hay không có quan hệ gì tới ngươi, mau lui lại, kỵ sĩ cầm đầu lạnh lùng nói. Hắn cũng nhìn ra được thiếu niên này tựa hồ không có gì là ác ý, nhưng chuyến đi này vô cùng trọng đại, không thể không đề phòng cẩn mật mọi chuyện. Nếu quả thực là Đỗ tiên sinh, thỉnh ngài ra ngoài gặp mặt. Thiếu niên kiên quyết không rời đi. Càn rỡ, vài tiếng quát to vang lên, 3 ánh đao sáng như tuyết đồng thời chém thẳng về phía thiếu niên nọ. Hắc y thiếu niên tựa hồ lâm vào ngây ngốc một lúc, rồi đột nhiên trên mặt lộ ra một tia sắc thái giận dữ, thân thể nhanh chóng gập lại né tránh ánh đao. Đao khí tung hoành nhưng hắn vẫn an toàn di chuyển bên trong đó, sau cùng mới đột nhiên cong tay lại như ưng chảo mạnh mẽ công tới. Xoảng, một thanh trường đao bị đánh rơi trên mặt đất. Kỵ sĩ cầm đầu cũng thấy cổ tay tê dần, đại đao thiếu chút xíu nữa là rời khỏi tay, liền không khỏi cả kinh tung người xuống ngựa, quát lớn, kết trận nghênh địch. 7 kỵ sĩ đồng thời lướt xuống ngựa, dàn trận sẵn sàng nghênh chiến. Ánh đao mơ hồ chớp động. Chậm đã, Đỗ Thế Tình trong xe khẽ quát một tiếng, ngay sau đó bình thản nói, vị tiểu công tử này, lão hủ chính là Đỗ Thế Tình. Không biết công tử có chuyện gì cần nói. Lão nói xong liền nhấc màn xe lên, lộ ra gương mặt bản thân. Đỗ tiên sinh cẩn thận, người này lai lịch không rõ, bụng dạ khó lường. 2 tên thị vệ lập tức vung trường kiếm che chở trước xe ngựa, bộ